Get this close to retirement and realize you hadn't thought it all the way through? Well, stick around. I'm going to go over 8 different points that maybe you hadn't thought about, but maybe you should today. And when you get to the very end, that one was a surprise for me. I had not thought about that, but I think it'll be interesting for you. So stick around. Hi, I'm Deborah. I'm a co-founder of the Siersha group, which stands for freedom. We've been really focusing on financial freedom. And I've got 2 grown children. I've been married 30 some odd years. I've got 1 grandbaby and 1 on the way, and I'm very excited about that. But as we've had these grandbabies be born and we want to move closer to our family, we've realized we haven't thought all the way through what retirement means. So today we're going to talk about 8 different points about retirement. And the first one for us became real obvious when it came down to money. Had we planned well enough? Did we have enough money saved? And the question is no, we did not have enough money saved. We thought we did, but with inflation being what it is, we cannot just up and move near the grandbabies. So we've had to rethink that, and we have started an online business to bring us more income. But the second question was also important to us is lifestyle. Now, we had already planned to scale our lifestyle back. When we moved to South Louisiana, we went from a 3,000 square foot house to a 2,400 square foot house, and we're going to go even smaller, probably half. We're going to go to a 1,200 square foot house because we don't have kids living with us anymore. We're going to move near the kids so the grandkids can come over and play. All we need is 1 bedroom and a playroom. So along with those lifestyle adjustments that we had planned, we had to start thinking along the lines of, okay, we're going to downsize our living, but also are we going to downsize our traveling? Because we travel a lot right now. Most of it's to see our kids, but some of it's just for fun. Are we going to make those kind of adjustments? Are we going to, continue to buy clothes whenever I want to? Those are the kind of things we had to start thinking through if we want to retire, live near our grandbabies, and have the dreams that we've always had. We're going to have to make some changes. The third thing on our list of things to think about was, of course, healthcare. How is our health? What can we afford? If we're retiring early and no longer have employment, what does our health care look like? We're not Medicare age yet, so how are we going to pay for that? What's it going to cost us? And as we get older, we know we'll have more healthcare needs that we probably need to think about ahead of time before we get to that retire early so that we're prepared. As we're talking about things to think of ahead of time, we've talked about your financial planning, your lifestyle, your healthcare. Another thing that you need to think about, particularly when you're talking about your financial planning, is the longevity of people in your family. The women in my family live into their 90s. The men in David's family don't live past their 60s. I don't even want to think about that. But they tend to die younger, and we tend to live longer. So we have to kind of think of that also as we're making our financial plans and as we're planning to retire early. You also need to think about the longevity of the people in your family. We ran a scenario the other day with our financial planner, and he projected us living out to 90, which if I follow the pattern of the women in my family, I will be over 90. So keep that in mind as you're looking at retiring early and how you're going to make that happen. Now, speaking of retiring early, your investment knowledge is important. I used to be a stockbroker, so I have a limited amount of knowledge, and it's kind of scary now how things have changed since I was a stockbroker. But we are not depending upon my knowledge. We are going and getting professional help from a guy that does it for a living, who stays up on the laws and all the things that are going on, and I advise you to do the same. Don't think you know all the laws, all the tax restrictions for retiring early. Like there's a rule of 55. Did you know that? If you're 55 years of age, in the year that you turn 55, there's some things that you can do to retire at 55. If you don't know what that is, go find you a financial planner. Find a good one. They're worth their money. 2 other things you need to think about are the tax implications and your withdrawal strategy. It had never dawned on me. The rule of 4 is you're going to take about 4% of what you've saved each year to live off of. And if you calculate that out, it should get you to 90 years of age. And I've talked before about how to do that. If you want to know more, drop me a comment and I'll tell you how to do that. But what didn't cross my mind, which is an option available for you, is you don't have to do the rule of 4 statically. Maybe you start out when you first retire taking 6% of your income because your kids are in different states and you want to travel to see them, or you want to sell your house and you want to move. There's just some expenses that come up. You're still young enough. You want to go and travel. What are the tax implications of that? That's something you've got to think of too. What is your withdrawal strategy? What are the tax implications? But if we start with taking 6%, we know that later on down the line, we're going to have to compensate somewhere and take less. But as I get older and I live into my 90s, I'm not traveling anymore. I can tell you that. I'm going to be sitting at home waiting on people to come see me. So I won't need as much money. Plus your house will be paid for. You won't be buying new cars because you probably won't be driving. So even though the rule of thumb is 4%, you're going to withdraw 4% of the money that you've retired each year to live on. Think about that. You can change that. It doesn't have to be static. It can be floaty, variable. You can do different things. That's why you need the professional to help you figure out how to do all of those things. Last but not least, this is the one I had not thought about. Social isolation. There will be a time, if you're living like my family does, in your late 80s and your early 90s, where everybody you know is gone, is dead. Your children are going to come see you. Your grandchildren may or may not come see you. They're building their own lives at that time. And all of a sudden, there you are, you retired early, and you don't know anybody. It's okay. You've lived a long, happy life. You just do what you got to do. But I had not thought about that. And even the social isolation that we will face when we're younger, because we're retired, but other people are still working. That's going to be different. That's going to be different. We won't be able to call up our friends and say, let's go do such and such. It'll just be me and David. We won't be able to call up our kids and say, let's go do such and such, because they're still building their lives. They still have jobs. So there's going to be some social isolation inherent in retiring early, and you need to consider that. How are you going to address that? How's it going to affect you? For David, it's going to be fine. He doesn't need anybody. He doesn't even need me. But for some of us, it's not going to be fine. We're going to need more people. All right. We've talked about some things to consider. There's 8 different things to consider about retiring early. And the biggest one for me is the money. Is there enough money to retire early? And there wasn't. And inflation had just eaten up all of our money. But you know what we did? We started an online business. And the joy of the online business is we can bring that online business into retirement with us, because it doesn't take physical strength. And as long as our minds hold up, we can bring that online business into retirement with us. If you want to know more about how we're doing that, and we're going to retire almost 14 months from now, put ready in the comments and let me show you what we're doing. And it may be something that you want to do. It may not, but you won't know until you find out. So let's talk further.